welcome back to the HBA of Northwest Michigan Building Better podcast. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And as always, if you're interested in being a guest, us covering a topic, or being one of our amazing sponsors, please reach out because we would definitely love to have you. Today, I am joined in the studio by Carolyn Andrews, who is the program coordinator for the construction trades programs at NMC. Hi, Carolyn.
Good morning.
Carolyn is no stranger to many of you. She has been an HBA member for a while, previously working at Northern Building Supply. Here's a few things that I know about Carolyn. So Carolyn is from the UP. Carolyn graduated from CMU. Her husband is a therapist. Her son is the coolest fourth grader I've ever met, and she's doing some really incredible stuff at NMC.
I would like to think all those are true.
Yeah, they definitely, I think they are. So speaking of, Carolyn, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with the HBA?
That's a great question. So I have been involved with the HBA for kind of a long time, it seems like. So I initially moved to Traverse City in 2013. Was a new designer. I was actually working for Preston Feather at the time and was looking for a way to get myself out there, meet new builders. So I thought, well, the HBA is probably the place to meet those people.
I love that.
So that's what I did. I joined, and not long after, I decided it would be a good idea to put my name in the hat to join the board of directors, and was officially elected, I think, in 2013 also.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my start. So I've been involved for, I guess
a while.
And
when you were at CMU, you were involved in a student chapter, right?
Yep, that's correct. So my degree was in interior design and construction management, and we did have a student chapter for the HBA that I was a part of.
And when you were in the student chapter, did you guys go to any of the HBA events or travel at all? Yeah,
so something cool that we did, and there was a big group of us that went down to Chicago when they used to hold the Professional Remodelers Show.
Oh, yeah.
Students were actually able to go for free. So we went down as a group. We had some funding, too, that got us, travel expenses paid for our hotel or whatnot.
Yeah.
So there was a group of us that went down and experienced that, and it was a great time.
Yeah. That's a neat thing about the student chapters, and we have an opportunity to apply for funding that can provide travel expenses to bring the student chapter to the International Builders Show. I know we've talked about doing that with the student chapter at the CTC, but the International Builders Show put on by NAHB is typically in Las Vegas.
Right.
And it's a little dicey when you're taking high school students to Las Vegas for a week. So next year, though, the IBS, the International Builders Show, is going to be in Orlando. So that's something that we might want to put on our radar.
Agreed. I think that's something to look at. Yeah. And I think between the college students and the high school students, maybe we can get a mix.
Yeah, especially with some of the cool stuff that you and Ben Herman and the team over at NMC have been working on, and the little 3D printing project that's coming in the near future. That might be something that would help us stand out and maybe win some awards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Add to those accolades.
Yep.
Now, Carolyn, last year you were voted by your peers here in the HBA as Humanitarian of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you hold that title for 1 year, and we'll elect or nominate a new member award this May. But when I was reading those nominations, those applications, there was no better person to choose. There's so many things that you've accomplished in your short time at NMC and moving the needle on the skilled trades and just adding more value to that program. But beyond that, some of the things that we've worked on workforce development is like bringing the counselors, the ISD counselors, into the construction lab.
Right.
So talk a little bit about that. We worked with our good friend, Shelley Vandermeulen.
Yes.
And go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely a team effort, and I don't want to take credit for all of that because there's an army behind me. I mean, I know just our partnership with the HBA, but all these other people that are involved and the volunteers have just been tremendous. So it's more than just myself. So just want to underline that.
Yeah.
But Shelley Vandermeulen has been a wonderful, wonderful contact and colleague. She was able to connect us with the area counselors, as you said, and we did a whole little mini building tomorrow where we made shadow boxes and had these counselors do some hands-on things. And I think it was really, really eye-opening for them after, we talked about NMC and what it would like to have for a student to go there and have a career in the trades. And, admittedly, some of these counselors didn't realize, didn't know. And that's okay, but we want to change that.
Yeah. We are very fortunate to have NMC in our community for so many reasons. I mean, I've grown up here and seen the evolution of what was a small community college become a pretty large driving force in education in our community and in the skilled trades, because it's rare in communities to have programs like that you don't have to travel away to attend. And, one of the things, I guess before we get too far, many of the listeners might not know what Building Tomorrow is. And
Sure.
I want to highlight that because if you haven't had a chance to attend Building Tomorrow, you definitely should get on that volunteer list because it is such a powerful experience. It happens in early October, 2 days. It's a partnership between NMC, the trades program, and community businesses that support and carry out these jobs every day. And it's a big lift. We bring over 500?
Just under 500.
Just under 500 students between 8th grade and 12th grade.
Yeah, anywhere from middle school up until high school. Usually it's middle schoolers, but occasionally we get high schoolers in there as well.
Yeah, and they travel even as far from Northport. I think we had some kids from Boyne.
Yeah, sometimes we have Boyne. So and this program, again, has been going on for a long time, but so it's 2 days, the first, usually Thursday and Friday of October. So we bring these schools in and it's broken up into the morning and the afternoon session. And basically what happens, we divide the students up into groups and we let them try a trade essentially. And it's not just limited to construction. We also have our automotive department there. And people like, Bill Marsh, Sarah now, and then just all these business partners. Team Elmer's brings their mini excavators into our parking lot, and the students get to, drive the mini excavator. They're welding, they're soldering.
Yeah, we literally put blowtorches in the hands
just hand them to them.
of adolescent children.
It's highly supervised. It must be said, there is a pretty strict safety meeting that takes place ahead of time. Everyone's got the proper equipment, multiple volunteers. I always volunteer and lead a group. And so I get to spend the morning and afternoon with these students. And it's so interesting to watch them from when they first arrive and they're really timid and hanging back with their friends and not interested in participating. And then they go outside and they see the mini excavators and they get in them. And the girls, especially, I love it because at first they're like, I don't want to do it. And they get in there and then you have to pry them out of there. Yeah.
And this event has grown so much that Elmer's has gotten really creative in the different ways that they can showcase all of the things that they complete at their company. They bring those mini dump trucks.
Yep.
Those are fully functional, which is nuts. Forward, backward, they lift, they dump, everything. But the education that Tanya Wildfong gives those kids is about, these are kids that are going to be driving. They're going to be sharing the road soon.
Right.
So even if they decide not to go into the trades, she covers how to approach a semi, especially with the roundabouts becoming more prevalent in our area. There's a lot of talk about who has the right of way always. Who? The semi.
Oh, yeah. It was the pedestrian.
No, well, I mean the pedestrian, of course. If there is a person involved, yes, pedestrian's always first. But I just think it's things that you don't ever think about.
Right.
And as a volunteer, Rick Mathis, the instructor, the welding instructor, he's a treasure. Was you're getting in the welding booth. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need to. He goes, no, you're getting in the welding booth. And then I came out of the welding booth and I was like, I'm a welder. I weld now. It's just really empowering.
Yeah, I think that so much of it is too, sometimes students are nervous and they don't want to try it. And it's just respecting the tool, understanding how to use it safely. And once they know how to do that, that in itself is just so empowering for a student.
It is. It's just a good basic education to understand how things are made.
Yep.
So I love it. They come in, they're timid, they leave, they don't want to leave.
Yeah, it goes by fast. It is an undertaking though. I mean, appreciate all the volunteers that help with that every year because, like I said,
so many moving parts.
A lot of people, and it's experienced volunteers too. I mean, obviously we'll take people here and there to help out, but having the experience, have the builders come in, Team Bob's has been instrumental in our HVAC area and the soldering. So we appreciate all of them.
Yeah, it is cool. And they're so willing to help and share their experience. And it's great. It's one of my favorite events that we participate in. And the counselor event was modeled after that. And
Correct.
Our goal at the end of that was that those counselors, because we look at like how do we get more people into the skilled trades? And I like to call them gatekeepers. There's several levels of gatekeepers that have an influence, whether it's a student or someone looking to make a change in their career. And one of those is the counselors. It's one of those checkpoints that as long as they know that that's such a viable, valuable career choice, that we wanted those counselors to leave with a keepsake.
Yeah, that was the idea. I mean, that it's been such a passion project of mine since I've started at NMC to change the culture, to change the stigma, right? That the trades aren't a bad thing to go into. I think that, that's kind of been in people's minds for a long time. And I'm just tired of hearing that or thinking that we're less than. I don't think we are. I think we're better.
I would tend to agree with you. And I think, when you think about it, tradespeople are building buildings. They're building homes. They're building business. And construction is literally like the epicenter of economic development, in my opinion. Because the second that construction goes downhill, then everything else suffers.
Yep. I like to tell new students too, especially if, when we go into high schools and talk to high schools at some of these career fairs or, like when you go into West, I like to put it out there too. If a student doesn't know what they want to do, that's totally normal. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't rule out a trade because, someday you're probably going to want to own your own home, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you'd like to work on that home yourself.
Yeah.
And not have to hire somebody. So these are all good skills to have.
They are.
No matter what. So.
And if you're not good at it, you can go to college.
Sure.
To a regular
Pick something
program.
else. Yeah.
It's rare that you see your workforce development efforts actually working, because a lot of it is just you're making an impact, but it's slower and that takes time to take off. But that first year that we did the counselor event, I'm always a bad planner. I'm supposed to be places that I forget. We spent the morning with the counselors, and then I had promised Shelly that I would show up for mock interviews at TC West that afternoon.
Double booked yourself.
And she was texting me like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, here I come." And I was sitting there. I was in my NMC garb, my favorite NMC shirt, and was interviewing a student. And she says, "Well, why do you have an NMC shirt on if you're the HBA?" And I explained all the things that we just talked about. And she's like, "Oh, I know." I'm like, "What? How do you know?" I mean, I'm a mom. I've got teenagers. My children always say like, "Well, I know." And I'm like, "Do you? Do you know?
No.
Do you?" I'm like, "Oh, how do you know?" She goes, "Well, I was meeting with my counselor this morning and she was so excited to show me what she made. And I love math and my dad's in the trades and I'm really passionate about that. And like, I'm exploring estimation." She was in the construction management program last year at NMC, and I'm sure she's still continuing in. I just don't see her as much because she's not in that entry level class anymore.
Right.
But like, that was so rewarding, and we're doing the right stuff. Like
it happened immediately.
I know it happened immediately. Like, oh, well, you hooked me. All right, I'll keep at it. But it wasn't powerful, and that's exactly what we wanted. That's exactly what we wanted. Well, I don't want to veer too far off without talking about this incredible project that your team has been working on for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in some of our newsletters. We've talked about it at some of our events. But this is an opportunity that came out of the Office of Possibilities.
Yep,
Oops.
exactly.
It's real, folks. NMC has an Office of Possibilities. It's very Harry Potter-esque, cool. And it is one of the coolest meetings you can attend. And they meet, I think, weekly, right?
I think so.
I think it's weekly on Tuesday mornings. But Will Kitchen and Al Everett, Will Kitchen is the Office of Possibilities, approached us with the idea to do 3D printing in construction as an option. And we you applied for the NACE grant, which is the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurs.
Yep.
Got it
You
right.
got it. It's a mouthful.
They hold a conference every year in November, I want to say.
That one was in October.
But they give grant money to up to 3 prizes. And most of the colleges that are applying for this have been working on this for years, a year at least. They've been working on
most
it.
Of the year.
They've spent a lot of time on it. We met, I think it was the Friday before Labor Day, September 23, and decided to do it. We had some of the suppliers in the house. We had the leadership from both the HBA and the foundation in the room talking about, how does this fit into our market? How does it fit into the ecosystem? And essentially, the 3D printing is the shell of the house. You still need trusses and, in some cases, walls and all those other things, materialists. So we decided to go for it. And you and Al and Will worked on that and got that.
Yeah, that's kind of what started us. It was a whirlwind. Yeah. So Al and Will had, come to me and said, what do you think of this? And initially my first thought was, well, we need to talk to the HBA because I don't really want to proceed with this if I don't think I have some support there. And I certainly don't want to feel like I'm competition for them. We all work together. And
one of the fundamentals of the HBA is innovation. And we live in wild time, people. We live in a wild time. Workforce shortages, material uncertainty, economic and political environments are weird, environmental, everything. And if we aren't innovating and finding ways to do the things that we've done either more efficiently, faster, and less expensive, then we're never going to catch up. Yeah,
agreed. So I think things kind of worked out, but that was the initial pitch to NACE. That was a whirlwind. We basically put together a pitch in a month. Mm-hmm. Like you said, most other teams had been working all year.
Yeah.
Made it through the first round, and then we're told that we made it to the final round, and Will and Al and I went down to Nashville.
That was the November.
And it was crazy. We presented this pitch in a room full of 500 people, which I didn't realize at other community colleges. But yeah, it's called Pitch for the Trades, the skilled trades. So lots of other community colleges doing some really cool, dynamic things. So it was so interesting just watching their things too. But ours was totally different.
Yeah.
Completely different. So.
And there were only 3 awards on the table, and you guys didn't get one of those 3, but you still walked away with an award and a promise.
Yeah. So what they did, and I've since been told they will never do this
never again.
But I appreciate that they gave us the opportunity. So because we only had a month, and they kind of recognized that we were a little bit behind on where we should be at, they offered us $5,000, complete a feasibility study. You have X amount of months to do it, and then we'll give you another $30,000.
Yeah.
So we did just that. We completed the feasibility study. I think that was in March. They brought it back to their board.
Created a new internship opportunity for 2 students in the trades.
Yep. With Al's Thrive community. Mm-hmm. And that went well. I mean, there wasn't 3D printing associated with it. It was panelization, but that's, a segue. Yeah. So that kind of got us started. That got us off on the right foot. We had secured that $35,000. And then from there, it was.
It must be said again, $35,000 is not enough to buy a 3D printer,
right?
Or launch a new program.
It was a start. Yeah, it was a start.
It's a seed. It's money.
But it got people talking, which is what we needed. So we had, we've been working with our foundation, and we had a private donor come in that was really passionate about it as well.
And you received
generous enough
from Impact 100,
right? So Megan Bilesma, she was a great partner to work with in our foundation. She had submitted all that paperwork for us, made it through the couple rounds that we needed to do. And then we had our final pitch, and where I had to give a 10-minute speech, which I was like, who wants to listen to me for 10 minutes? I'm like, this is going to be terrible. But no, they really coach you to speak from the heart and your own experience and make things personal to you. And I tried to do that. And the ladies must have connected with it because we ended up getting that grant, which was so awesome.
And from what I know about Impact 100, they're looking for causes or projects that they can fund that have true impact.
Yeah, tangible things too.
Yeah. And they like to focus on education and broadening the community. And I think that this checks all those boxes.
Yeah, they were a tremendous group of women to work with.
Yeah.
And we had our own little team that we connected with. And I can't say enough wonderful things about them because
well, and it's
they're
neat
great.
because, construction has been a male-dominated field historically and continues to be male-dominated. Some of the work that's done in construction is just not well-suited to women. There are some women out there that can physically match a man in strength and ability, but for the most part, most of us can't. But there's still a place for women.
Absolutely.
Women have such a great attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that Rick Mathis told me when he convinced me to get in the welding booth. He's like, women make great welders because of that fine attention to detail. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of strength to be a welder.
Yeah.
I say that, but it does in many ways. But there's a definite place for women in that workforce. And a group of women, Impact 100, that band together to raise money and give money within their community. And then women in construction presenting to them. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was great. We're, again, so grateful for them. But that grant was $116,000. So that's really what got us going even further and really is funding the printer that I just submitted a purchase order for. So
last month.
It's coming. It's exciting.
You expect that to be here when?
We're thinking the beginning of June.
Okay. And then how much setup is involved with getting that? Does it need to be assembled?
Yep. Yeah. So their team, the company we're purchasing from is called Build Additive. I'd invite anybody to check out their website. It's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to put a plug in that MIT and Lawrence Tech both have their printers as well. So
those are great places.
Seem like okay colleges.
Yeah, they might know what they're doing.
So their team will probably be in Traverse City for about 3 weeks.
Oh, that is awesome.
So, yep. It is exciting. We'll be doing training and setting everything up and, we're excited. There's some cool things that are.
I don't have a huge frame of reference for this, but in one of my previous careers in economic development, I worked with a company that works in steelworks, and they purchased a really large water jet and giant crane and had to retrofit actually the gymnasium at Pugsley. It's not there anymore. They moved it back up to Charlevoix because it's just logistically smart and they don't own that property anymore. But it's incredible what goes into that machinery. And again, it's computer operated, similar. That's kind of what I'm envisioning.
Yep.
You guys have the giant crane already in construction lab. Is that where the printer's going to live?
Yeah. So just outside that second classroom, that's right in our carpentry lab.
Okay.
Just past where we hold our Build a Better House sessions.
Right.
Right now there's several stacks of lumber.
There's some
lumber there.
just a little bit of lumber.
That will get moved. So it will be right there.
Oh, neat.
Yep. So we're excited for the co-founder of that company will be coming up probably in the next month or so. We'll be doing, a walkthrough, getting things prepped, getting our facility prepped. We have some things that we need to tweak here and there. Pretty minor for the most part. We're fortunate to have such a big building with the 5-ton crane overhead.
Yeah.
Not many buildings have that.
No, it's going to make a big difference.
It's perfect.
Well, that is the beauty of our little community. I say little, we're growing every day. Traverse City is not what it used to be in a good way. I just think it's incredible that your team is leaning into innovation.
Mm-hmm.
And more than anything, this is going to attract more young people in our community to engage in this and then stay here. And I'm excited to have the opportunity for our HBA members, our builders, to learn alongside as students are learning this new technology, because in order to keep them here, they're going to have to go work for someone who knows how to do this. So
exactly.
I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff about to happen.
Yeah. And I've already had some HBA members reach out to me that are, wanting to be involved right at the beginning. So I appreciate that. And I encourage that. We want as much support and involvement from our local builders that we can get.
Yeah. And, builders and HBA members and community members at large here, you don't have to wait till 3D printing is a real thing. You can learn alongside the students in the construction programs right now. The HBA works with NMC. NMC's program, Build a Better House. And it depends on the semester, but this semester, the spring semester, it's on Tuesday nights.
Yep, Tuesdays.
Dinner's provided by the presenter, and whether it's a supplier, vendor, equipment, whatever it is, they come in and they're showing the students real life application, innovations in building materials, how to do it. Like, this is what the book says. This is how it actually happens. But more than anything, members, this is your opportunity to meet the incoming workforce, and let's hook them, get them in love with residential construction so they don't go to work with our brothers and sisters on the commercial side. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Builders Exchange. Let's come on, residential construction.
Yeah, I get phone calls all the time from, people around the area, builders around the area, businesses that say, oh, I'm looking for an employee. Do you have any students? And of course, my response is, well, of course I have students. I'm not going to give you them over the phone. I always encourage them to come into the classroom, and I always use Build a Better House as the opportunity to do that, because it's a real natural way to talk to a prospective employee too. You can without there being that pressure, right, of sitting down and maybe being tense in an interview. It's more of a natural environment where they're learning together or chatting about the product or what they like about it or don't like about it. So.
Well, in this spring, the class is building sheds again. They're taking everything that they've learned from last semester and this semester and completing a project. And I've witnessed many of our attendees of Build a Better House stick around and get involved in helping the students. In fact, we saw past President Heidi Flake get on the roof with the student that I mentioned
back to her
earlier.
old roots of roofing.
No, she's like, I just couldn't help it. I saw her up there, and it's an opportunity to teach and be a mentor, and that's a big part of the HBA. So don't wait, don't hesitate. In the month of April, there's still a few more of these Build a Better House series available to attend. Show up at the Aero Park Labs on Aero Park Drive. 6 o'clock on Tuesdays for a couple hours. We'll always have food on hand. And again, it's an opportunity to learn some new stuff, but more importantly, meet the upcoming workforce.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And again, I'm begging you, let's charm them. Let's keep them in residential construction. Let's give them jobs and get them working on your crew and keep them.
I can say that, I won't mention names, but I know that one of our students just got hired by a builder that was attending that.
Yeah.
And had that connection and was right alongside them. So that happens. So if you're seriously looking for somebody and you have a little bit of time in the evening, please.
I think that low pressure environment is a big deal, because if you're in construction trades, maybe you haven't had a lot of experience with interviewing, that soft skill. Maybe you're a little more introverted, or you didn't get great grades because you didn't learn it in an applied setting. Hello, I still struggle with math, but I can do business math, applied math. Sure. It's amazing. Why don't we teach kids in that way? You get to really know who someone is and understand their passion and see their dedication to their studies. No better place to do it than Build a Better House.
Yep, agreed.
In partnership with many of our suppliers that make that happen, and the team at NMC for being so willing to share their space. You guys have done a lot of really neat things with doing field trips and getting the students outside of the classroom and into the settings and what they could actually do with their certificates or their degrees. And I think that is incredible.
Kudos to all of my instructors. Ben Herman has been wonderful with that, but so has, Jeff Morse, and Brian Kelly got his class out, his woodworking class. And I think Chris Boudet, our HVAC and plumbing instructor, same thing. So, and Charlie McPhee actually has done some wonderful things with what's going on with the aviation hangar and getting the students over there to see. He's got construction management students, cost estimation. He's like, let's walk through this. Let's talk about it. Jerry Tomzak was, the point person on that. So it just was a natural fit, and we were able to go over there. So I kudos to my instructors for, putting those connections together and all those businesses that have welcomed us over into their places of business.
And the majority of your instructors are adjunct, meaning they have full-time careers outside of being an instructor. We are so lucky to have those individuals, identify those individuals. And we, as the executive officer at the HBA, I serve on your advisory committee, and you are always looking to fill your pipeline of who could be an instructor. So again, listeners out there in listening world, if you have a passion for education, maybe you're retired, maybe you're not, maybe you just want to give back, please reach out to Carolyn, because they're always looking for a deeper deck in instructors in electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and carpentry, and probably many others.
Yeah, and there's actually a few of those positions are posted on nmc.edu in there.
Yeah.
In the career section, if you are interested in teaching. And
some extra income, side hustle, impart knowledge on the
I think
future.
Some of the adjuncts that I've had or talked to in the past, it's like, you don't do it to get rich, but it's, maybe a little extra money, but it's once you are interacting with the students and you see how you're making an impact in their life, or, what their career or their future looks like, that's, so valuable. So
if you're ever having a hard day, head on over to NMC and just see. I mean, I always feel better when I leave there, just because it recenters the why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Carolyn, I always like to ask my guests, what is your favorite thing about the HBA?
So I'm going to give a little story, because I was thinking about this as I was getting ready this morning. And of course, the collaboration and the support I've always appreciated. But something that occurred to me is that when I started at NMC, that job was not on my radar. Where I'm at right now was not really on my radar. My current boss, Dan Goodchild, was on the board of directors. And I believe I believe he went to the board and said, "We're hiring this position." I was not on the board at that time. I was just kind of an associate member, and I was participating here and there as I could. But somebody else that was on the board came to me and mentioned to me that position. So, which actually was Heidi Flake.
Yeah.
Heidi and I have known each other for a really long time. And she thought, I don't know, maybe you should consider applying for that job. So had Dan not been on the board and mentioned it to the board, and Heidi not come to me and said, maybe you should apply for this job.
Yeah.
I likely would not be in this position. So that's a real full circle moment for me. I mean,
that's the power of the network of the HBA.
That's a big deal. So I appreciate that. And so well, here I am at NMC.
I probably say this all the time, and you guys can count out there in the world how many times I say, "Oh, this is my favorite thing about the HBA," or "This is my favorite thing." And I would say the favorite thing about my job is I get to work with our members every day, and they've become my friends. And I love getting to spend time with you. I love all of the shenanigans that we get ourselves into.
All the fun things.
Like last month at the Interlochen Library with Shelley.
With Shelley.
Shelley's working with the Shelley. She's working at Interlochen Library.
Yep.
And she is bringing STEM and STEAM, because arts is in there, STEAM, whenever it's STEM, opportunities for children in the community and adults alike to interact and get to try these things for exploration.
Yep.
And we were there last month building a alternative version of our shadow box.
Yeah, like a little mini version.
Yeah. It was great. We didn't have a ton of kids. It was a beautiful 70-degree day.
Yeah, it was nice outside.
So why go to the library in the middle of March when it's 70 degrees outside? I don't know. But we did. We had probably like 10 or 12 kids come through. You brought Bauer. I brought Jude.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that they've now been full-time volunteered, that they will be at all of Shelley's events moving forward. Jude was excited and then a little trepidatious about what that meant moving forward. But again, I would encourage anyone that wants to volunteer to work with kids, work in workforce development, join the committee, join Carolyn and I at one of the Building Tomorrow events or any number of the other things that we dream up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
For letting our members get to know you a little better and the absolute treasure we have in that program over there at NMC. And thank you to your whole team and Dan Goodchild. He's such a supporter of the HBA as he has moved on in his career. He's still super involved. He's a board member. He's on our foundation board, and he keeps that mission front and center of everything. And of course, you, Carolyn, jumping in as our new committee chair for our Scholarship Awards dinner. It's going to be great. We'll be at the City Opera House October 23rd. There will be valet parking. There will be a red carpet, I hope. So make sure to reserve your ticket early, and we'll see you there. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you.